if there is no training college for school heads. Of course, during our days when we completed, we were accorded the status of a head, we could go for health training for 6 months. But these days it is no longer the practice. And I'm saying what makes the difference between an ordinary class teacher and a head. We are talking about issues of integrity here. We are talking about issues of qualities. We are talking about issues of expectations. And now, as we are heads of schools and deputy heads and account clerks and principals and rectors, a lot is expected from us as we discharge our duties. A lot is anticipated from us in terms of our ethics. To lead us through the discussion, allow me to invite Dr. Sugwanda in this session on ethical leadership. Over to you, Dr. Sugwanda. Let's clap hands as you move to the podium.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nyatanza. A very good afternoon to you all. I hope you might be seeing or you are able to see. If you are not able to see, don't worry, I will share the presentation with the leadership so that we can all get the presentation. I'm going to present on ethical leadership. Ethical leadership is something that is expected of us as school heads, deputies, rectors, principals, and DESAs. Everyone in an Anglican institution would actually be expected to do something that is ethical. So shall we move on to the next slide? These are the topics, or the subtopics, or the slides that I'm going to cover. Can we move on? So basically, in terms of definition, ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with the study of ideal human behavior and ideal ways of being. In this case, we are saying human behavior as a headmaster, or as a deputy head, as the DESA, or as the principal. We can also define ethics as the systematic approach to analyzing and understanding matters of right and wrong, or good and bad, which enables one to distinguish between the two. Now, ethical leadership, we are now saying a form of leadership based on strong moral principles and universal values such as integrity, transparency, and respect for others. From my experience working in schools, this does not always exist. Integrity, transparency, respect for each other, sometimes these things are missing. Totally missing in some schools. In some schools, maybe it might be 50%, in some schools 80%, in some schools maybe it might be 20%. You can make an evaluation of your own situation in your school in terms of these aspects. Are you someone who is consistently doing something that is right, something that is acceptable, lawful, and moral? So I move to the next slide. Ethics can be put in categories. We have what we call normative ethics, which is more prescriptive. It seeks to set norms and standards that regulate right and wrong or good and bad conduct. We can say do good is prescriptive. Meta ethics, it is descriptive and analytical. It aims to understand the nature and dynamics of ethical principles. In this case, we are now asking, if you are saying do good, always do good, the next question is, what do you consider good? Or what is it that is good? Then we also have applied ethics. This is the actual application of ethical or moral theories for the purpose of deciding which moral action to take. As leaders, I'm sure you agree with me that we are always making decisions. On a daily basis, you are making decisions. On behalf of the school, on your own behalf, on behalf of a department, on behalf of students or children, you're always making decisions. But whenever you make a decision, is it ethical? Is it something that is taken after considering the impact and effect on other people? Sometimes, just to give a random example, maybe people are supposed to be going for sporting activities. As the head, maybe all along we have been telling the team and the coach that we are going. On the day, in the morning, you suddenly tell them, no, you can't go, the school has no money, or we have no fuel. You have made a decision and you have given a command. But sometimes you need to ask yourself, well, if you had told them earlier, so that they would not waste their time doing the preparations and raising their expectations, only to be told last minute that you can't do this. So there are so many things that we can talk about in this area. Let's look at the next slide. An example is, a police officer shoots a terrorist who was about to blow up a shopping mall and possibly kill thousands of people. If you are looking at metaethics, it is morally wrong to kill. I'm sure we all agree. Even the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. But now we are saying, let's take our own example here. We are gathered here, maybe 120 people present, and bishops. Then someone, somewhere outside, picks up the information that we have someone who is getting into that hole, and they are going to blow themselves up, and that explosion or that bomb will kill that person and everyone else in that building. And someone else shoots that person and is dead. How do we take it? How do we treat that kind of situation? It's wrong to kill, but because we know that this person was actually going to blow up himself and kill about 120 people, we may need to look at it differently. Which means whatever happens, as you do your work as leaders, sometimes you don't have to look at things just on the surface. You need to further probe and try and ask, why did this teacher behave this way? Why did this child do things this way? Why is it that this child is coming to school late every day? Or why is it that this child is not coming to school every week on a particular day? There might be a lot of answers to that. Or there might be a bigger story behind whatever is happening or whatever you're seeing on the surface. So when we are looking at ethics, we are looking at all such things because it gives us a deeper understanding, a deeper view of what could be taking place. Shall we move to the next slide? The visible problem we see in staff members and students might be a glimpse of a much bigger and more complex problem or calamities. Don't be too emotional and strike or attack before you understand the story. Some leaders are very quick either to punish or to attack when you don't have the full story of what is happening. Can we watch that video? Can you pause the video? Can you just pause? Okay. Right. For those who are able to see, maybe for some it might not be very visible, but for those who are able to see or who are able to see what happened initially, what was your thoughts or what was your thinking when that dog snatched away someone's lunch and sped off, or just rushed off? What was your initial thinking? Yes.
I thought the dog was hungry. I thought it was hungry.
Yes. He said he thought the dog was hungry. And what would be your reaction to that? Getting a big stick, following up on the dog with the intention of hitting it. But now, can you see what the dog is now doing? Can you continue playing the video? Can you pause it again? So when we are talking of ethics, we should go beyond what we are seeing on the surface. Whether it's in church or in class or in the school, there are so many things that happen and we react. Sometimes we get very emotional and sometimes we blow up and we say a lot of things, nasty things against teachers or against students, but we don't know the story behind and we don't understand why they are behaving that way, why they are doing whatever they are doing. So, if you are an ethical leader, you should always think before you act. Always think before you say a word. Before you condemn a teacher, before you condemn a student, before you crush someone, just think before you do it. And pray for God's revelation. Because God can reveal something totally different. Can you just finish off playing the video? Right, you can complete and go to the next slide. So what I'm saying is, if you are a leader, it is your responsibility to investigate, find out, get more information on whatever is happening. Whenever you are making decisions, try and explore, try and find out, am I doing the right thing? How is it going to affect the other person? Why are they doing whatever they're doing? Now, let's look at law, morals, and ethics. Being in a church school, we should be law-abiding, we should have good morals, and we should be ethical leaders. These three are different. Although sometimes some people use the interdiscipline, when we are looking at law, these are set of enforceable rules. And we have rules in our schools, we have rules in our churches, in our communities. Morals are set of values determined by a religious group or society to govern how people should behave. We have morals that are expected of you as a leader in an Anglican institution. But the law and the morals are not just, they are not enough. We need to look at ethics. Because if you just look at the law, sometimes someone can respect the law, but at the same time be maybe doing something that is unethical. Just to give an example, you get to an accident scene. Your company policy says you should never carry passengers in your car. That's a company policy. But you get to an accident scene, people have been affected, injured, some are bleeding, and they're at the risk of dying because of bleeding. Someone can say, my company does not allow me to carry any passengers, so I cannot carry these people. I would rather carry their bags and leave the people there. Ethically, that is wrong. Because yes, we have the law, but sometimes you also need to bring in ethics and morals together. So as we operate in Anglican schools, we are saying we need to look at all these things: the law, the morals, and ethics. Because ethics will go a little bit beyond the law and a little bit beyond the morals. In our churches, sometimes you get to a church where they say you can't go and receive Holy Communion if you are a lady without something over your head. Either unafanga in the head, can I will receive Holy Communion. If someone comes to receive Holy Communion and they are on the line and they are the clergymen, you get to them, you skip them because they are not properly dressed for Holy Communion. The next person. But maybe this person is a visitor. They don't even know about your rules and regulations in the church, and you are skipping them. That person can say we are following our religious rules, our laws, what we've agreed. But ethically, that might not be right. Maybe they have a condition that they can't put on a hat or they cannot cover their head. Sometimes you have so many different medical conditions, and someone has a condition, and you are just treating them as people who are disobedient or people who are breaking the rules. So, ethically, we need to go beyond our religious rules and laws and look at the ethical aspect of whatever we agree. Can we move on to the next slide? Morals and morality, this is what we expect in our schools, as I have already said. As Anglican institutions, we are Christians. We are Christian institutions, and therefore, we have basic Christian morals that should govern us as Christians. And these include, love as the central command, Christian command, compassion, integrity, humility, justice. And to what extent are we, respecting these values? To what extent are we showing love and compassion to those whom we lead, either our teachers or our students? Shall we move on to the next slide? Right, the Bible has a lot of verses. We are not going to read all these verses on issues to do with ethics and morals. So that's a list of verses. And we have that little clip, unjust scales. The Bible says a lot about unjust scales.
The ancient marketplace buzzard.
Unjust scales can be used maybe in many different ways. But it is unethical to use unjust scales. And you can play it.
As with life, a symphony of bartering and exotic scents. Shoppers gather, their voices rising and falling as they negotiate prices with shrewd merchants. In ancient times, marketplaces were the heart of commerce, where honesty was paramount. At the merchant's stall, duplicity lurks as he subtly manipulates the scales. But some merchants use dishonest scales, tipping the balance in their favor. In a vast, ethereal space, golden light bathes intricate scales, symbolizing justice and fairness. The Lord detests dishonest scales, but accurate weights find favor with him. Proverbs 11:1. An honest merchant stands, using fair weights with integrity and treating each customer with respect. Honest merchants upheld justice, aligning with God's command. Use honest scales and honest weights. The community thrives, a testament to foundations built on unwavering trust and fairness.
Stop this video and move on to the next slide. Dishonest scales. And in our institutions, we buy products and we also sell products. And sometimes what we do when we are selling and what we do when we are buying is not consistent. And it is unfortunate that there are certain institutions where if you go and sell your products, maybe whoever is leading in the process of buying things will actually buy the things themselves. Put them on a scale and play around with the scale. And then they show you the kgs. And sometimes you wonder whether this is really correct. When I was growing up, my mom and dad were not employed, they're peasant farmers, and would just depend on, marketing and agricultural produce. And you'd go and sell to certain places or schools. And you would learn you go and sell, but wamunoona pamunotengesa. Anekasitotenga from you, over primary. Then they sell to the school at a higher price. Almost 150%. Price of and sometimes you ended up saying, I know we cannot sell products and who's what. Because what you get when you sell there and what you get when you sell elsewhere is totally different. You get almost twice what you are getting from a school. But it's not really the school system that is doing that. If an individual who is playing middleman or someone buys a cow from somewhere at a very low price, at $300. They come to the school, they sell it at $500. And this is someone who is within the school. And this is unethical. And this is why we're saying, as leaders, we are supposed to be ethical leaders. And those are the unjust scales that have been mentioned in the Bible. We have ethos and values in our Anglican schools that we should respect. Ubuntu or Wunu, guided by Christian values, is a Christian school. This is what is expected of us. And this is supported, or you support this by being involved in church programs and activities, participating in what we do in the school in terms of worship. We are also expected to have unity, excellence, commitment, integrity, transparency, empathy, forgiveness, fair play, and be responsible citizens. All these things are expected of us in Anglican institutions. But unfortunately, you get to some institutions where there is a lot of unforgiveness. People can't forgive each other. They hate each other, whatever happened in the past, and they can't let go that anger and bitterness. Can we move on to the next slide? Characteristics of ethical leaders. Ethical leaders are honest, transparent, truthful, trustworthy, reliable, responsible, courageous, fair, and authentic. If you were to give yourself marks for all those, each one being out of 10, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you were to give yourself a mark, can you do it? But don't show me the mark. Give yourself a mark on honesty, transparent, truthful, trustworthy, reliable, responsible, courageous, fair, and authentic. What percentage would you give yourself? If you were to be honest with yourself, and you are the only person who can really know exactly what you deserve. Because what we see or what you do in public is not the correct picture of who you are. Who you are is really determined by what you do in secret, when people are not seeing you. And this is the reason why we are saying ethics is more important, because you may pretend to follow rules and morals to the public, but ethically what you are doing behind closed doors is very nasty. Shall we proceed? Right? Benefits of ethical leaders in Anglican schools. If you are ethical, respecting and following rules, principles, values, policies, and etc., these prevent collision, fights, disasters in workplaces. We avoid a lot of problems. You know, you can coexist, you can operate as head, deputies, bursar, senior teachers, students, each one doing their duties perfectly well and with speed, if you are all ethical and if you are all doing things as expected. If you don't follow little or simple things as, you know, submitting your reports on time, your marks on time, doing things on time, you can cause a lot of havoc, cause a lot of chaos. From my experience, being sometimes an HOD or a teacher at some point, I would struggle with certain teachers who would not bring in marks. You want to finish off preparing the report and someone has not submitted their marks. And you store everything else. Shall we see that video? Right, what would be your comment? What would be your comment? Just one comment. If you see the speed at which those trains are traveling, they're so fast. But, oh, you wanted to comment?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, a very high degree of valuing time.
Okay.
Time.
Yes. The aspect of time, doing things on time, and following your route, doing everything perfectly well. You know, it avoids collisions, it avoids accidents and disasters. But sometimes, in our institutions, whether you're the head or the deputy or the bursar, you are in your track, but instead of just proceeding, you block the headmaster, you block the deputy, you block all other teachers, and the school cannot function. Because if only one of, like the first train, it means all the other trains could not pass. Sometimes, this is the head who does that. And the school is stuck. Or it's the deputy, or it's the bursar, or it's whoever in the school, or the principal. Sometimes we make life difficult for everyone else. To what extent do you respect time for meetings, deadlines for submission of reports, or assembly? Those are little things, but they are very critical, and they are very important. Shall we move on to the next slide? Ethical decision-making process. We look for and identify ethical issues. This is the process that we should follow through. I won't be able to go through everything because of time. Obtain unbiased facts and look for distorted or missing information. If you see a teacher behaving in a particular way, or a student behaving in a particular way, sometimes there is a lot of missing information and distorted information. It is your responsibility to investigate and find out. Is there any information that I should know about this child? about this teacher, which could help me to understand them better. If you do that, you'll be able to probably solve certain mysteries or things that you don't understand that are happening within your institution. Shall we move on? Ethical issues in human resources are management. Transparency and honesty, fairness and equity, e.g., the allocation of accommodation in the school. How fair are you in doing such things? It is unfortunate that some, or a more private house, but they can't be given. Headmaster or whoever is responsible for the allocation of houses gives a better house to someone else from whom they think they will get some benefits. Or it's a young lady, the headmaster is very lustful, or whoever, the deputy or the housing officer is a bit lustful, and things would have maybe this young lady might not be married, or she might accommodation yekuti kana paine pfungwa dzainadzo zvinozoita nyore kuenda ikoko. That is very unethical, but it's happening. Sometimes it's because someone has other ideas that are not ethical, and there's a lot of immorality in all that. So when we are managing human beings, that you need to consider, and that should help you to run the school smoothly. Shall we move on? Resources. You grab a position, or you take a position by force. If a baboon takes over the driving seat of the car and they run away, then the baboon gets in and it drives others. They come and invade the car, but they can't do anything. It is unethical. Through nepotism and corruption, he or she recruits equally incompetent relatives and girlfriends or boyfriends. Just like the car, the school will be stuck. No development. Waunganidza hama dzese dzaamo key positions in the school, but there's no zvinhu zvese zvakamira, and the car will just rot there. The only evidence of the presence of such a team is the smelling mess they leave behind. Makudo drive water. Chachamuita kusiya tsvina ipapo, and that's the only evidence of their presence. Would you want that in a school? Would the evidence of your presence in a school as scandalous when you have gone? It happens when you are an ethical. That's what happens. Shall we move on to the next? In accounting, we have ethical issues. Fraudulent financial reporting. Accounting anaomera zvakanaka. You run around kubika accounts kuti aite kupresenta kwawo. And mopresenta mobudirira. But you have not solved the problem. It's better to deal with the issues and problems and correct yourself, not presenting fraudulent accounts. That's unethical. In accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. There's so many things that can happen in terms of accounting issues. Another example is depreciating a vehicle to 0 10 years. GDC, after 5 years, GDC yapa 0 book value. Yet master of Atenga can principal of Atenga $10. Because no value yamu book. Well, is it above board? Are we doing the proper thing? And when you do that, maybe you are buying the vehicle as an individual, and yet the primary school does not have a vehicle, the church does not have a vehicle, as the high school, the car is at 0 book value. Why not donate it to the primary school? Why not donate it to the church? But you take it as an individual. So there are so many examples that you can give. Ghost workers, someone is on the payroll, and they are non-existent. Munano Tutambira, Iasipo Patiko. Right, can you move on to the next slide? Ethical issues in purchasing and supply. I think this one I have already mentioned. The issue between some schools, we have middlemen within the school. They go and buy and come and resell to the school again at higher prices, which is not ethical, right? Ethical issues with students and parents selling from one places. Some people make money during the recruitment process. Kana muda uti mwana wenu auye, mkanipa waka 5. Kana 1,000. You know, some are prepared to pay $1,000 to mwana wani. And this is really unfortunate. And it is unethical. It is not right to do such things. Some having relationships with students so that they give them marks. Some exploit parents with vacation, vacation but if you are a teacher and you then say, vacation, nobody send to farmer child the syllabus. During the same time, you are not doing any serious work, then you was very serious for vacation. You know, in a way that is not fair. That is not right. Shall we move on to the next slide? Ethics is not static. It's always changing. And as we have heard, that change is inevitable. Social ethics, economic situation, political situation, religious norms, they change. Therefore, ethics is not permanent. And we can't have a permanent definition of ethics. It's always evolving. Shall we move on? Unethical and immoral behavior. When a person's behavior is in opposition to accepted social, societal, religious, or cultural, or professional ethical standards and principles. Some immoral behavior by a school leader can cost the whole school. Breaking a simple rule can make everyone stuck. The vulnerable may suffer more. It is unfortunate that sometimes the vulnerable suffer more. Can we play the video? Just one person who has entered into the lift when it was actually full already. And the lift is overloaded by one person. And it cannot proceed, it cannot move until we have one person getting out. And everyone is stuck. It is unfortunate that sometimes we'll be expecting people to reason or at least to be considered. But everyone is stuck. These are statements. Sometimes you need to be ethical. And that guy who just got in, as long as the guy was put in, sometimes as leaders, we cause problems and we don't even care. And everyone else is suffering because of our behavior. Now, look at the person who is getting out of the lift. Of all the people who are in there, someone who is actually having challenges walking, maybe she got out of the lift because she was getting tired standing near she's on crutches, or maybe she just considered The one way sound that stuck because only one person should go out. Okay? Shall we move on? Unethical behavior. When a person's behavior is contrary to admirable faith and the code of conduct that is endorsed in either in our schools or in Christian institutions or by the education profession, this is unacceptable. I think we have already dealt with most of those things. Can we move on? Examples of unfairness and inconsistent application of the laws. Do you apply the law consistently as a leader? I'm sure some of us have heard this song. We'll just play it up to maybe a minute or two. You can move it forward to a minute, just a minute. Right. If you try to analyze this method, can you just pause at that? Most I mentioned this one. It's not a grow man. We did the same school. One teacher does something, and the reaction from the leader, from the head, from the deputy is totally different as compared to another teacher doing the same thing. Umakanano kwa assembly, another office, which go andrapona in assembly, umada is another certain warrior. Now for the na Dr. Banaba, I would appear assembly not very often, but what I'm saying is, if you are the leader, and then some people are treated differently. Maybe a record book or whatever, reports, they're treated differently. That is something that will create problems. Can you play it? So we need to be very consistent in the application of the law. Kana tukutara mtemo kwa ufanani wherever. Kwetu kuti vanu wakataura solution. Wanusi wakadana wakimo wakataura. It's something else. There is a part if you play it, I think just a few seconds from there. Panota where right. You can just stop there and move on to the next slide. You are in a meeting, you are in a staff meeting, you are raising issues, you raise a point, try to argue, then you want the Kisaimuro. Umwe Zonzi Kisaimuro. Ataura point Yagana. That's not done. The whole stuff from Minonzi. Can you clap hands for her? She has contributed a very good point. Asiku Motaurao owns the Kisaimuro. You know, that inconsistency. If you're a leader, that's being unethical. People will see that, and they will talk about it and comment afterwards. Okay? The importance of work ethics. We have employee loyalty, employee retention, increased productivity, improved accountability, positive work culture, professionalism is promoted, conflicts are minimized. There are so many benefits if you are ethical. Shall we move on to the next slide? Consequences of ignoring ethics in workplaces. We have conflict, increased absenteeism, we have stress, depression among staff members, and so many other negative issues in the school. And the whole school will have a culture of being unethical. Shall we move on? If you are a leader, you are leading people somewhere. People are following you. But it's unfortunate that some are leading people astray. And when they lead people astray, sometimes they transfer from the school and leave people confused and sometimes against the authorities. You may influence people against the headmaster or against the responsible authority, and maybe you eventually leave. But people have a negative attitude towards the responsible authority, and you initiated it. Or a negative attitude towards the priest or principal, and you initiated it. And you transfer from the school, and everyone else is still hating, the responsible authority. If you look at that video, the shepherd is leading the flock. But we don't need the master teacher or principal, whoever is leading the flock.
Twice, thrice, and then he steps away.
Why he is going through that fire, we may not really know, but
just movement for the sake of
the followers are just following.
following the one ahead.
Sometimes this is what some people do in institutions. They influence the whole institution against the responsible authority, or against the head, or against whoever.
In religion, in politics, in society.
He also has people put them in the table, and it's
Understanding the true intent of the one they're following.
they will get tired. They will start to death. People think about the
Takes courage.
why they are going around, they don't even understand. Sometimes there are many people in our institutions. Why you hate the headmaster? Why you hate the priest? Or why you hate the bishop? You don't even know, but you just hate them. And someone influences you to do that, and you continue to have that kind of attitude, which is very bad, and which is very unethical. Shall we move on? As leaders, you should lead by example. Actions speak louder than words. If you're an ethical leader, lead by example. Officers are supposed to be law-abiding citizens. They should lead us by example. But if you look at that officer, he is not just an officer, he is a public figure, just like us, as priests, headmasters, as leaders in the institution. He is putting on the info. In my headmaster name, you are a public figure, just like him. But if this is what is happening, headmaster kubawa. Wanawani kwa sikuona, what's mnozikana mu community kutawa headmaster. Kana utumfundisi. Wanaona kuziwa hivi. Sakwani kwa sisi ya. So if this is the behavior ya tinoita, kana ukada kuzotsiura vana kuti don't take drugs, kana kuti stop drug and substance abuse, How can you say it when you have done that? It is unfortunate, but sometimes as leaders, this is not only what teachers should recognize. Headmaster cannot do food disaster if you are the Victoria. Headmaster. Kubawa. We are to food this Kubawa. Atawa, Atawa Suska Kuba. What later the bar. Say what not under grocery. Papas. It is unfortunate, and that is unethical. That is not good. Okay. We can move on. Unethical things happen, and it is our responsibility to try and stop that. There is a story inside of someone who was working at a filling station while in Mashotesa fuel. Manager, I will ask about fuel usiku, midnight. Then we are now, my young, fuel attendants, no way fuel ya shorter. Talk about the money. Manager, when don't take some fuel black market. You sell black market, get a lot of money. And the young fuel attendants, they would actually lose out. Umanu to have personal salary, because yes, you can buy opportunity, Mashotesa fuel. I don't know what I'm kuna wanaoteka fuel in bulk saka tunaenda kuwalotera usiku magati knowing kuti their manager they would not even question also fuel oil, and he was caught red-handed, arrested and thrown in prison. That's a leader. Can we move on? Ways of encouraging ethics within the workplace. Lead by example. Provide meaningful feedback. Combat or eradicate workplace bias and stereotypes. There are so many other things. Over time, I think let me just start off and finish off. Some of us, we need to recalibrate ourselves. Right. My time is up. Let me just finish off on this slide. What we consider as bad or evil has actually changed. For some, kushotesa mari kana kuti kuba mari yechikoro, maybe $100, whatever, ya shorter, after hana, wame is 1,000, wame 5,000 chayo, ika shorter, hana hero. So that's why I'm saying we need to recalibrate ourselves. Kuti, you need, can wait something that is not right. Kwete kuti, autaro inia, kana weta is so evil, autaro inia. We need to recalibrate ourselves. Right? Thank you so much. I've come to the end of the presentation. May God bless you. I will share the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the lift. It's okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Shall we give another round of applause? This topic is so touching to our professional colleagues. There are so many ethical dilemmas that we are facing in everyday life. And it even becomes worse when we face ethical dilemmas as leaders in church schools. Be it a rector, be it a headmaster, be it a deputy headmaster, be it an accounts clerk. I think the main message that has been driven here is leading by example. Munoona mukaita chitema hana isarowi. Makuenda to no good. Ukaona uchiba mari yechikoro ka hana inorova pakuti unongoti ndikainitore $200. Asi kana zvakupinda muropa chaizvo chaizvo ka unongotora usina kufunga. Ukaona uchitora mwana wechikoro uri headmaster kana kuti uri rector kunorara naye hana isingarowi munenge maoma mukoma munenge maoma chaizvo. Chero dai muri head mistress muri deputy head maakutora mwana wechikoro kunorara naye hana isingarowi. Tinoramba tichikwira makata kutora mukadzi wemunhu. Unozoziva kuti mukadzi wemunhu chaiwo, iwe uri murume wemunhu. Chokwadi mukadzi hana yako isingarovika. You are no longer normal. Inenge yatwa ethical dilemma here. In the schools that we are leading today, ladies and gentlemen, our administration must be upheld ethically. Pani nyaya yataurwa pana vana baba nzvimbo dzevana veform 1 hanite temu yakusvika. Inini, I always talk of real life situations. Achidauya waeducation secretary ndakapa vamwe baba mari yechikoro vachiti vanondipa ndokwatangoti zvinonyanya kuti tiitenge inonetsa iyi. Makapana muchizivana mese muri matsotsi. Nzvimbo inotsvagirwa kuchikoro kana kudai maida kubatsirwa panapa padayisisi makauya tichiona kuti kubatsira isi zvinonyaya imi ere munopedzerana. Asi dzinosvika dzimwe nyaya manje dzekuti ticha anobva aita kuona ivi nemubereki obva ndipei mari kuti kwanapira $100. 100 ndeyangu, 200 ngeya headmaster. Headmaster atopinzwa mhoro yake yasiri. Mari dzawo saanobuda nzvimbo yaoneki. Bereki ouya unzi zvichaita. Saka mubereki anoenda pachikoro, headmaster ndauya. Makadya mari yayo ngai. Headmaster hazvizivi. These are ethical dilemmas. Teacher will transfer pachikoro. Headmaster asitombozviziva. Deputy headmaster anobva amhanya district office kuti kwamuka marumu. I'm talking about living examples. Responsible authority kuziva kuti tina teacher wedu watiri kuda apa. Zvikanzi takatoisa teacher. so bad we have got very good reasons for wanting this teacher. If it is a district inenge ichiita wa sense dzakakwana, vanotibvumiza teacher uyo achibviswa. We are talking about ethical dilemmas. Kana basa rikuitwa mubatsiri kuti vabve mune that dilemma. We know things are hard. Thank you so much, Dr. Luke, for that. We are now almost coming to the end of the day. Lest I forget, we were supposed to have mass this morning at 7 o'clock, but because we are still organizing and reorganizing, we have rescheduled it for tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Bishop Mapika will be conducting mass in this church. We are a church, that's why I'm saying in this church. Don't think about the building.